Kenneth Wong here. I'm glad that you have a chance to watch this video. It's actually a collection of videos and data that I've collected over the last couple of months, not just this last couple of weeks. Partly because I am involved in SPEL, Singapore Polytechnic Entrepreneurship Living Laboratory. This is a training facility in Changi Airport for our entrepreneurship students and for other Singapore Polytechnic students as well. I'm involved in the publicity and marketing of SPEL as well as some teaching, and I am, as you know by now, primarily involved in teaching the entrepreneurship option students in their entrepreneurship subject, and they have a practicum which requires them to start their own businesses. At the same time, our students are also involved in SPEL. They're expected to spend a set number of hours in SPEL, and some of them are what we call core group students. They are very involved in the management of SPEL, both in logistics, in sourcing of products, as well as in marketing, sales, and overall management of the facility. This is a prime example of student-centered learning and experiential learning in play, and we're very proud of the facility. You will see in the next couple of videos not only interviews of our students and their experience, talking about their experience, getting feedback from them on what they have, how they have benefited from this module, from SPEL, and also I'm showing you a corporate video of SPEL, which tells you very clearly what SPEL is about. There will also be interviews of my colleagues who will share their views of SPEL, as well as how they, for instance, collaborate with SPEL if they are not involved in SPEL directly. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the video. Feel free to contact me if you need further information. I am also submitting a paper which details what these videos are about. Thank you.
Okay, with SPEL, we have the learning outcomes like any other module, and learning outcomes are always assessed by a variety of measurements, right? So what are these measurements or assessments in advanced module SPEL?
Okay, actually it is broken down into 4 parts. First is the authentic on-site observation, where the students will perform as per normal, but we are down there as an observer to observe how they actually serve the customer, from not entering the shop to entering the shop, to making the purchase, and to exiting.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is one criteria.
Okay.
The other one is actually a presentation where they need to deliver a 5 minutes presentation to us, to assessor, Randy and I, the lecturer for this module. Then the third part is they have to submit a report. But the report is very simple. It's only a 3-page reflective report, to showcase their learning through the entire module. The last one is their involvement in back-end duties, which is our ERIC and subgroup hours.
Okay. Can you explain what are these back-end duties?
It's actually things like different departments, like inventory management, sales planning, PR, merchandising planning, operation and technology planning, all the back-end functions.
But I'm sure we don't just throw them into the role and expect them to learn on their own. There's some guidance and instruction.
Yeah. It's actually like a project-based work together with the lecturer itself.
Okay.
So the lecturer will be there to guide along. The students will brainstorm exactly what kind of plan they want to carry out for SPEL, and then other than the planning and organizing, they have to execute it together with the lecturer guidance. Yeah.
Okay. How do these mimic on-the-job training in the workplace? I mean, you worked in retail before, right? Is this similar in approach?
Okay, first of all, I think the students are trained to, even before they start, they are trained to think that they are actually functioning like they are operating a small, medium enterprise when they are involved in SPEL. So they cannot think of it like they are still the students trying to learn. They have to think of it as their work affects the entire department, and the department affects the outcome of SPEL in terms of sales and in terms of transactions, hit rate. So in that sense, it's very much like a retail industry where you are, the first few months you are actually there really on job training. Not so much of, we throw you there to do everything on your own. There's guidance from the supervisors, from the lecturers itself. Yeah, so you can see the lecturers and supervisors as the guiding personnel. A lot like the retail and merchandising industry.
Okay. So so this is sort of like very close to on-the-job training and guidance by the supervisors in the real workplace. Okay. The learning outcomes and the assessments, are they every once in a while evaluated or modified given changes in industry or
it's actually reviewed every academic year.
Every academic year?
Yes.
Okay. Based on what? Student input, industry changes?
Student feedback.
Student feedback is what?
Student feedback, and then lecturers feedback as well, the assessors feedback.
Okay.
And also the lecturers who are involved, because especially in terms of ERIC and subgroup hours, where the students are being assessed by their respective lecturer who is in charge of the different departments.
Now I know we have the School of Business Advisory Committee, but at SPEL we don't have an external advisory committee right now. Does the School of Business Advisory Committee have any influence
over SPEL? The grading
anything at all? Whether directly or indirectly?
Indirectly, I'm quite sure there is. So any initiative passed down, we will look into it and then we will try and explore around. But directly wise, I think not so.
We're left to do it quite independently.
Yes, because in a sense, I think SPEL, first of all, this module is an advanced module. So the intake is usually not a lot, about 60 per year. So in fact, it is actually more of challenging better GPA students who can take on more modules. Yeah, so in a way, we are left to do things more independently.
Now, in this training at SPEL, do they include both technical and non-technical skills?
Yes.
Can you give us some examples of both?
Technical skills, other than the POS system, the point of sale system. In the past, we have this system called RFID, the inventory management system, but recently it's under review. So, but in a way, students still get to learn all the technical aspects as well. And some of the students who are especially more talented in certain areas, they are handpicked to develop software models for us. Like, for example, I think now we have a group of 4 students who are developing a purchasing order system for us. So when we go for overseas sourcing trip, it's so much easier. It's all systemized. Rather than handwritten on paper.
So it's what, accessed via an iPad or something?
Yes, and it's actually Wi-Fi linked.
Wow. Good. How about non-technical skills, for instance?
I think one very visible one is we actually get a lot of students to get involved in how to dress up the shop. So basically the visual merchandise, it's not so much of technical skills, but a lot more on creativity. Other than creativity, it's also a balance of functionality versus creativity.
In general, do you find that the students' experience effectively model and teach industry standards? In other words, how realistic is the whole experience in your opinion?
I think in terms of authenticity, it's definitely there. Because we don't follow the textbook. There's no textbook for this module. It's really very hands-on experience. And other than the guidance from the lecturers, the students have to go out and observe the competitors as well. So it's really very real life. So in terms of authenticity, it's definitely there.
Now, back to learning outcomes and assessments and so on, syllabus. At the beginning of the module, are the students briefed on what are the learning outcomes? Like, this is what we want you to learn by the end of this course.
There's actually a pre-commencement training session for the students where they will come in, they learn about the module, what the module comprises of, what is expected of them, and what they can expect out of the module. And also we give them a live campus training before the on-job training. Yeah. After that, after the campus training, they will go for the on-job training. Then somewhere in the second or third week of their on-job training, they will come back for a assessment briefing, where they are briefed on what they will be assessed on, how the assessment will be conducted, and what they need to submit out.
Now this is for advanced module spell.
Yes.
How about the entrepreneurship option students? Their involvement in spell?
Usually it commences in the semester too. Yeah, so
are they also briefed on the learning outcomes?
They will be briefed. So maybe in the past it wasn't, it was conducted in such a way that there's actually a pre-briefing first. But this time we are looking into, other than pre-briefing, other than on-job training, we will get them to come back for a retraining every maybe 1 or 1.5 months.
We're looking into that.
Yes.
Right now.
Because it's again based on student feedback that they probably need trainings every now and then.
Rather than be put there, and, they might lose their way along the way.
I mean, when they are out there, some of them may get to learn things more than the rest because of situations. Situation that's
depending on the role that they put in and so on.
And every day is very different. It's very live, 24 hours. So different students get to experience different things. But we will want a common ground where all of them can come back and then we teach them the same thing altogether.
I see. Now, on occasions there are presentations, demonstrations, and so on, right? How often are these? You were saying every once in a while there will be some training, as in with PowerPoint demonstrations.
Usually we have to look at the academic calendar also. Other than the period where students are revising for their test or during the test week, if ideally we would want actually 4 to 6 weeks, there will be one briefing. Where we can get most of the students back. Just to refresh their mind, and then especially when it's nearing the assessment, they get a training on reminder on their assessment.
Do we brief the students on code of conduct, rights and responsibilities, and so on?
We do, but it's actually down during the on-job training itself.
Oh, it's also done during on-job training. Okay. And if they have feedback for us, like they have questions, they want to discuss certain things with us, or if they don't agree with some of the things we teach them, how is this guided and integrated into the learning process?
Usually, especially for this module, the students come straight to me. So where I'll discuss with them and then I'll look into the matter together with them. And if it involves more people and their opinions, I'll get the SPEL team and the TSO team to get more involved in it.
I see. So we do we seek out their feedback on a regular, or once in a while? Like a feedback exercise, student
we
feedback
used to
exercise.
have a feedback box, but it wasn't effective because none of the students want to drop in the comments. So rather than asking them to drop in the comments, they come straight to me, either via email or now WhatsApp and all.
But we don't have a compulsory student feedback exercise like we do with the rest of the school.
It's at the end of semester 2, there's always
only
a feedback.
That one.
That
one
student
instance.
feedback.
But what you are saying is we actually solicit feedback on a more regular basis through means such as
emails and
so on.
Conversations. Then because this module is very live, so usually what we will do is it involves a lot of interaction between the lecturer and the student. So during those conversations where sometimes we casually catch up on how they are performing during the commencement of the module itself. In between, during the conversation, the students sometimes they will
bring up certain issues,
certain difficulties that they are facing. Then we try and solve it for them on the spot.
This very naturally brings me to another point towards the end of our list of questions. The instructor time. This obviously takes up a lot of your time. And also the students are given regular convenient access to you. Am I correct? They can contact you anytime, like your cell phone number, they know that. They can
it's
email
almost
you
24
anytime.
hours live.
Right, it's really 24/7. And you are often seen at SPEL, and you're very often here. You're just about everywhere involved with SPEL. This takes out a lot of your personal time, and beyond the typical job scope in that sense. So, we have regular teaching hours, but this goes beyond, far beyond. Does this mean that it will be difficult to take on more students?
First of all, I think this module is meant for students who are able to challenge themselves further. So in the sense, we are limiting it to 60 seats per year.
60 per year.
Yeah.
Okay.
To involve more students, it would mean maybe having 1 or 2 more teachers on board this module, which may dilute the learning that we want the students to learn.
These 60 are handled by how many instructors?
2 lecturers.
Right now. Okay, so it's 2. So it's 30 each.
Yeah, about 30 each, yes.
And then we are not even counting the entrepreneurship option students. So that's another 40 to the 60. So we have at any point in time about 100 students involved in SPELL, directly involved in SPELL. And the 40 students in the entrepreneurship option, while you don't teach them directly in SPELL, you are very involved in their learning experience in SPELL. So that also takes up even more of the time. In a way.
Yes.
Yeah, quite a bit. So part of the reason why I'm doing this paper is because of my teaching philosophy that student-centered learning is a very, very good way to teach students skills in a vocation, in a vocational environment such as Singapore Polytechnic. The one challenge then is instructor time and resources, and it's hard to balance the value of this module with the limited resources we have. So that's why I'm asking these questions. Have you any comments on this topic, just to close off?
I actually do agree that the hours on paper is the actual hours that we perform is actually a lot more than what is on paper. But that being said, I think for me it's a different case. Because I'm so-called more fortunate in a way that I live very near to SPELL.
Okay.
So it doesn't really affect me so much as to shuttle between SP and Changi Airport.
Okay.
But that being said, there are times where students do contact us on the weekend, very late at night, to tell us about their challenge and their difficulties.
And that's because SPELL is not your typical classroom which closes at 6 p.m. It's a shop that closes at 10 every night.
Out of campus.
Yeah, out of campus lab. It does not reflect normal teaching or rather classroom hours. Okay. Well, thanks very much. That was great. Your answers were fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
So in SPELL, there's a set of standard operating procedures, also known as SOPs, for students to refer to every time they enter the laboratory. So for example, student managers have to oversee the opening and closing procedures of the shop, while self-directed learning students, also known as SDLs, have to learn how to approach customers to cross-sell and upsell certain products. So all these responsibilities are also reinforced when teachers constantly initiate trainings to help students out to this extent. So yes, for students like me who went through the course for about a year or so, we felt that we have mixed our learning in the retail and entrepreneurship environment that SPELL has to offer us. So we gave feedback to lecturers that we want to learn more, and then they took the initiative to further our learning experiences. For example, doing visual merchandising and redecorating the shops to different themes and seasons that the retail industry has to offer. We are always briefed about the different components of the assessment right at the start of the academic year. For example, operations-wise, how did the technology help SPELL and how do we go about using it? And throughout the course, lecturers and supervisors will constantly remind us about the module requirements like hours clocked and upcoming tests and weightage of all the components.
My learning in SPELL was facilitated with clear and effective presentation, demonstration, and active learner involvement. I learned about the different funding that is available through ENSB, and in SPELL I actually learned how to run a retail shop with how to make my own SOP, follow the SOP, operate a POS system, which I can actually use it in my own business. Also, for the past 1 year, we have been building our own business, Sakis, and with Mr. Kenneth giving us all the advice and direction and making us who we are today.
Well, yeah, it was. The training in the course was very much in a real world scenario where you know, such a spell. We have a real shop with real customers coming in and dealing with real business situation and obstacles. This I feel that is very alive and a dynamic environment, and it taught us a lot about industry standards and what the customers expect and what the society expects out of a retail shop. Yeah. So in our own business, we are able to apply what we learn in Spell to our own businesses to make it better, and because Spell is much like a store that's already in its mature stage where they're just setting up day to day and getting new goods and all that, and it makes the other basic tasks such as opening and standard operating procedures very refined, and this is something that we picked up and we learned and we applied to our business, making our business even more efficient in its early stages. Yeah. Well, yeah. Generally, the entrepreneur course is to teach students about the basics of startups. So while Spell teaches us about businesses that has been successfully running for a period of time, like what I said before, Spell is pretty much a shop that reaches mature stage. So we learn a lot about what businesses are like in its mature stage, where it's running for some time, a year or two, and while our entrepreneurship course, we learn to make a startup ourselves, so we know what's the difference between starting a business from scratch and working on a business that's been running for some time. And with these two combined, it tells us a lot about entrepreneurship as a whole, from the start to the middle part, and from starting a business to growing a business. Yeah. Well, I would say so that it's Spell that we are given plenty of opportunities to receive feedback and apply what we learn. Because in Spell it's a very controlled environment. We always have a person who's the student managers there. We have the PSOs, the technical support officers there, and the interns. These are usually the people who will look after us and teach us and guide us and mentor us and all that. We are also split into small subgroups where our specialties will be sort of maximized and to help make Spell a better place. Yeah. Well, I would say most definitely we are encouraged to mentor the other students. For example, in Spell, there are student mentors, student managers per se. They are the ones who have experience in Spell before attending entrepreneurship course. So they mentor us, and also Mr. Kenneth invited us back after we graduated to talk about our own businesses and to give the new batch of students a whole new give them some ideas of what are the challenges we faced, and mentoring students, I feel that we learn things from them as well. It's a great experience to teach and learn at the same time, and to help out, and we learn plenty of new things from mentoring other students. Yeah.
Oh yes, I think so. In fact, I think they are more than prepared for it. I feel that Spell does prepare them for a real work environment, with it training students to deal with real customers and all. On top of that, I feel that the field entrepreneurship gives them an edge over other graduates as they experience in running their own business. Yes, it is. The point of the sales system is definitely up to date, and also the very interesting Motorola mirror where the customer get to virtually try on the clothes. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I would have no idea that it's set up as a learning laboratory if I had no prior knowledge of spell. Yeah, I think it's very nicely done.
SPEL, the Singapore Polytechnic Entrepreneurship Living Laboratory, is a collaboration between Singapore Polytechnic and Singapore's national icon, the Changi Airport Group. SPEL is a first for a polytechnic to have a full-fledged retail store at a mall. Products for sale include fashion apparel, leather bags, purses, belts, and accessories. A 54 square meter concept store located at Changi Airport's Terminal 3. SPEL's products under its own brand name, Verve Avenue, are affordable, and there is something for everyone. So, what is a living laboratory?
A living lab is an off-campus real-world learning studio. SPEL provides an opportunity for our students to put entrepreneur thinking into practice through authentic learning. Our students are doing very well. Since we started operations, we have seen a marked increase in sales every month.
So when and where did SPEL's journey begin?
After details of the collaborations were finalized with the Changi Airport Group, our students went to work immediately. SPEL is a multidisciplinary project, which means we involve students from various disciplines: entrepreneurship, accounting, communications, information technology, as well as engineering.
SPEL was inspired by our students' passion for innovation, creativity, design, enterprise, and fashion. Our business students finalized the store concept, created the name SPEL, and designed our own fashion label, Verve Avenue.
Renovations on the T3 unit started, and at the same time, the first batch of students left for China on one of the many product sourcing trips under the supervision of lecturers.
During our sourcing trip, one of the most important skills that I learned is how to negotiate with wholesaler and close a transaction. This is a unique learning opportunity for me.
We have learned to work effectively as a team, checking products that we have bought, reconciling money spent, and reviewing lessons learned for that day.
When shipment of the products arrived, students learned about inventory management and the use of technology to process the products for sale. For example, SPEL's retail systems are powered by Motorola Solutions and its partners.
SPEL is really quite a sophisticated retail outlet, putting technology to excellent use in both the back-end and front-end of the retail operations. Within the back-end environment, we have barcoding, inventory receiving, tracking and tracing, dynamically in order to optimize the operational efficiency of the business, whereas on the front end, we're utilizing technology to completely enhance the customer experience, particularly the Magic Mirror. The Magic Mirror allows shoppers to see themselves in a variety of apparel without having to physically try all of them on. This has proven to be extremely popular with all the shoppers.
So far, 120 students have benefited from their association with SPEL. Besides the use of technology, about 100 students each year will have the opportunity through SPEL to learn skills in the areas of sales, product sourcing, customer service, inventory management, teamwork, and problem solving. In addition to students from the Singapore Polytechnic, some secondary school students will also have a chance to have a work attachment at SPEL.
We are the only polytechnic to offer entrepreneurship education as an O-level subject to secondary schools. So we have invited 2 secondary schools to have their students attached to SPEL to learn about entrepreneurship on the job. They are being mentored by our business students.
I'm learning from the year 3 students, but I also have the chance to teach the secondary school students, and it's a lot of fun, and it's amazing how much I learn when I try to teach others.
Since SPEL's official opening in September 2011, there is no looking back. SPEL's initiatives for sales promotion are very appealing to the young and the computer savvy. Promotions are carefully crafted, utilizing the full extent of mobile applications and the new media.
In spite of SPEL's current success in terms of sales, we are very aware that we are not in the retail business, we are in the education business. That means SPEL is a teaching facility, a living lab, and our students' authentic learning experiences continue to be our first priority.
SPEL at Changi Airport is the best university or polytechnic enterprise facility that I have ever seen. It is a retail outlet of the highest quality, indistinguishable from any of the other shops at the airport. The quality of the facilities, clothing range, fitting technology and customer reception and service is fully professional and of the highest order. Anyone who has any aspirations to teach enterprise and entrepreneurship needs to take this as the gold standard of facilities provision.
So the next time you are at Changi Airport Terminal 3, do make it a point to visit the Singapore Polytechnic Entrepreneurship Living Laboratory at Basement 2.
This is the Enterprise Resource and Ideas Center in Singapore Polytechnic Business School, also known as ERIC, and we're going to take a walkthrough of the facility now. ERIC is a converted classroom that's been developed into a resource center for our entrepreneurship students, and it also serves as a logistics center, or well, it's a fancier term for warehouse for SPEL. And we have a lot of our SPEL products stocked, stored here, and they are managed by our students who take inventory of these stocks. You can see we have trousers, we have shirts, both men and ladies, we have jeans, different clothing items, blouses, handbags, which sell really well, very popular, fast-moving items. More handbags, clothes, more bags. and so on. We also have a meeting area where our students and staff meet to discuss SPELL and their own respective businesses. We have a separate closed-off area where students are free to come for their own meetings. Lots of chairs and tables available. And we have a office area where our technical support officers or staff, support staff who look after the various facilities are stationed. When I say various facilities, I mean SPELL as well as ERIC. We have a closed circuit television system where our management monitors activities in here. You will see by this wall a whole row of storage lockers. These are used not only by the students for their respective businesses, but also by the TSOs and students for SPELL equipment. And now we go back to the main area of ERIC. What you see here in front of us is a backdrop and mannequins where our students take photographs of stocks and put the pictures online. There are projectors as well as other teaching facility equipment which we use here when we conduct class, which is not very regular but does happen, bearing in mind that this module is really a very big practicum and involves all our students for most of the duration of their course here. And that brings us to the end of this tour. Thank you.
938 Live gets you talking with the Breakfast Club.
Earlier this week, the Singapore Polytechnic Entrepreneurship Living Lab, or SPELL for short, opened its door to their first customer at Changi Airport. Now, the off-campus retail store, run by students, is a collaboration between Singapore Polytechnic and the Changi Airport Group. I have to say, we're speaking to so many young entrepreneurs these days.
Who are starting their own businesses with the help of the schools and funding.
I'm so jealous, Why wasn't I this good in my youth?
I was...
You could have been a millionaire by now.
Wasn't doing anything.
Not much of import anyway. Now, actually, this is of course also the first time that the Changi Airport Group is partnering an educational institution in setting up a retail business at Changi Airport. Now, SPELL is the combined effort of 100 students from different disciplines, including business administration, communications, accountancy, and electrical engineering. Joining us this morning are Dora Ho. She's senior lecturer at the SP Business School, and Gavin Ting, Business Development Executive of SPELL. That's quite a title, Gavin. Now, Gavin, perhaps you could tell us, how did the idea of setting up this retail shop come about?
Well, basically, in earlier this year, around January, the Changi Airport Group actually approached the Singapore Polytechnic Business School with a idea to explore providing us with a unit at their Terminal 3 basement mall, which was newly opened at the time. And, since we're always alert to new opportunities to work with industry as well as to provide an authentic learning experience for our students, I think it was actually a really great idea that we came on board. And then the idea for SPELL was born, and we're actually providing entrepreneurship education, but in the form of a retail business model.
Right. I wonder, when they approached you, had any of the students or yourself, had you all had any kind of retail experience, perhaps within campus itself?
Yes, we do actually have a retail, I believe it's called Retail Studio at the Singapore Polytechnic, which has been running for quite a few years previously. And we also actually had a outlet at Bugis Street previously, where our students actually retailed bags, I believe.
Now, Dora, perhaps you could jump in here. Tell us more about SPEL. I know that a lot of polytechnics have these startup type enterprises, and they give them some seed money as well. How does SPEL exactly work? What is the concept behind it?
Allow me to give a quick big picture first. Singapore Polytechnic is the leading polytechnic in entrepreneurship education. For example, we are the only polytechnic providing entrepreneurship education as an O-level subject. We are the first and probably still the only polytechnic that requires our entrepreneurship students to invest and run a business before they graduate.
So how is this encompassed under SPEL? What exactly does SPEL do then?
Okay, SPEL stands for Singapore Polytechnic Entrepreneurship Living Laboratory, and it's a platform, as Gavin mentioned earlier, to provide students with authentic learning experiences. The Singapore Poly has provided the startup costs for SPEL, and our students are working towards making SPEL self-financing. It's very important for them to have a deep understanding of revenue, cost, profit relationships, and the factors that drive profitability, like productivity, service excellence, technology that will improve work processes and enhance the buyer's shopping experience, and of course cost management.
So in other words, use all the concepts of business that they've learned in class, essentially.
Yes. We are actually providing entrepreneurship education in the form of a retail business model, because the opportunity came from.
So break it down for us. What if the students want to start something up at Terminal 3, besides, the lessons that they learn in school, what kind of support do they get from the program? Do they get funding? Do they get a mentor? Do they get somebody to come down and tell them how to set up?
We provide guidance for the students, of course, and I mentioned that the Singapore Poly also invested
in the startup
money,
cost.
in startup.
How much exactly went into this particular shop, for example, just to give us an idea?
Around $100,000 in terms of working capital.
My goodness, it's successful. That's interesting indeed. Gavin, let me come to you then. This idea of having that support, that takes one thing off your shoulders, because a lot of young entrepreneurs have to really go out and source for the funds. But did you have to do something like that? Did you have to make presentations to the SPEL organization to try and get the funds? Did you have to try and, use your business model to try and prove how this was going to make money 3 months down the road and whatnot?
Actually, my involvement with SPEL is that when I graduated earlier this year in April, I was actually invited to come back and work on this project. So I actually work for the Singapore Polytechnic, but my main job scope actually involves guiding the students along and helping them, and running day-to-day operations, and they actually.
Sure. So did the students have to do that then?
Give you a business proposal, make a pitch, that sort of thing.
No, the SPEL concept was actually conceptualized by 4 of us graduate students, myself included, and we actually came up with the concept and we developed it, because Changi Airport actually gave us a pretty specific idea of what they would actually prefer, which was a retail, sort of a retail environment. So we developed on that.
Tell us more about the experience in terms of having a shop off campus. What are the benefits of this, Gavin?
Well, if I could actually just relate my experience, the main reason I joined Singapore Polytechnic 4 years ago was because the Diploma in Business Administration has this entrepreneurship option, and that actually allows us to turn 3 years of theoretical book knowledge into practical real-world applications. And I thought that was wonderful, and having this new SPEL program available to the new students is actually I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
Okay, what's the advantage? You're missing the questions here. What's the advantage of actually having it off campus?
Well, the main advantage is that it's real. We deal with real customers and real people, and we're in Changi Airport, which is a national icon. It's a privilege to be working with Changi Airport and to, be in a world-class place, rather than just be having it on on campus where you only do with students.
Yeah, I guess, and the customers won't treat you extra nicely just because you're students. Yeah,
maybe the tourists will be nicer. Who knows?
Now, let's talk about the concept of this particular store at Changi Airport, targeting teenagers and young adults. How did that come about? Is it because it is run by students and that was what they were interested in, or of course, I'm sure they had to explore the marketability of such an idea as well. Dora, could you expand on that?
SPEL is inspired by Singapore Polytechnic students' passion for innovation, creativity, enterprise, design and fashion. We chose to market quality fashion apparel targeted at teenagers and young adults of both genders because we feel that our students will be able to relate to this target market and thus make better decisions. Also, this fits well into the current retail mix within the Changi Airport Terminal 3.
We're going to find out more about the SPEL program and the students who are actually engaged in it. Stay with us on the Breakfast Club right here on 938 Live.
Now, the Singapore Polytechnic Entrepreneurship Living Lab has opened its door to its first customer at Changi Airport. The off-campus retail store is run by students and a collaboration between Singapore Polytechnic and Changi Airport Group. Of course, we are talking this morning with senior lecturer from Singapore Polytechnic. She is from the business school, Dora Ho, and Gavin Ting. He is business development executive at SPEL. Now, Gavin, perhaps you could tell us more about the innovative marketing ideas that some of the students have come up with, because if it's just yet another retail store, I'm sure it wouldn't do well. Was there anything of note that you can tell us about?
Well, I think one of the most interesting ideas we've come up with is actually to make heavy use of technology in the store. So we have actually a lot of, toys and gadgets going on that actually add to the shopping experience, that actually pull people in. If I could, one of the items we had that I find quite interesting is actually something called a magic mirror. Basically, it is a large 42-inch screen TV with a camera on it, so that when customers stand in front of it, they can actually use their hands in a sort of motion control kind of thing, where they stand in front of it and then they can actually control the screen and superimpose clothes onto themselves, so they can actually preview.
That is good. That is a great idea.
Needs a changing room.
Yeah, so they can actually preview clothes on themselves without actually trying it on. Yeah.
Right, so you can see if the color fits and that sort of thing.
At least that.
Yeah, at least that, yeah.
What about the sourcing out a lot of these things? We know a lot of young people nowadays, especially in polytechnics, have started blog shops and they start selling their own clothes and accessories and options. How did the store go about sourcing out these things that you sell? Do you rely on the students to go and find it?
Yes, we do actually bring students along on sourcing trips. So myself, actually, I went on one of these earlier in the year. And we do source our products all over from Asia Pacific.
So what are we going to get at the store? What kind of things can we buy?
Well, we're actually trying to go towards having a full sort of full image kind of store. So we sell everything from hats, sunglasses, accessories for ladies, tops, bottoms, dresses, skirts, whatever, everything. We sell everything you need to make a full image.
But it's got a young person stamp of approval on it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the old people too would like it.
I think so, that's why.
I'll head there just to take a look. Me, Bharati, the old person. No worries, I'll be there. Of course, Dora, I'd also like to know if there are any plans to expand this program further, to perhaps come up with more off-campus retail stores to help the students flex their entrepreneurial muscles, so to speak.
This collaboration with Changi Airport Group is a major collaboration. So for the time being, the students are still getting used to the idea of being a student entrepreneur. So for the time being, we are not starting another branch elsewhere. We're going to focus on SPEL and make it a self-financing venture.
Okay, so tell us where it's located, this particular store in Changi Airport. I know you said Terminal 3, the basement mall, but what does the sign say and how can we look out for it? Gavin?
Well, the address would be Basement 2, Unit 52 and 53. Basically, it is Basement 2, next to Car Park 3A, quite near Popeyes and Kopitiam.
Okay, so do go on down and look at this quaint little shop. It sells a wide range of streetwear targeted at teenagers and young adults. Many thanks to Dora Ho, Senior Lecturer at the SP Business School, and Gavin Ting. He is Business Development Executive at SPEL. Thanks for staying with us on The Breakfast Club.
Next, we'll watch watch a video taken in Guangzhou, China, to be specific, Shenzhen, at a market where our students as well as my colleagues went on one of our earlier sourcing trips. In the video, you will see students learning how to negotiate with the vendors in the market, as well as receive instructions from their tutors. You will hear Ms. Dora Ho's voice, our manager, in the background, and you will also see Mr. Roger Lee giving advice to the students on how to bargain, and this is a very, very good example of experiential hands-on learning. Hope you enjoy the video.
Cannot buy more. The grades depend on it. Cannot buy more.
How many?
Cannot. You better listen to advice. Cannot buy so many, no.
30 for 5 for this one.
Yeah.
One piece 30.
Otherwise it would have been 28.
Yeah, if we buy 5 of each color.
Huh? 5 of each color for 28 lah. Then we just want one color.
Yeah, that's why we just buy one.
Yeah, just buy one.
But they sell one.
Let Yan close the transaction. Everyone must close one transaction.
Why?
Because we buy 5, we never buy other colors.
Oh, 不可以啦。
But that is really very...
Then we lose out on the deal already. Cannot lah.
Just now she quoted me 28. I asked you to negotiate. Now it's 30.
Wow, yeah.
啊
？28我们
不可以啦，给我们试试看，下次再买。
行了，店不行了。最近价值多少？
你很美啊，你很美。
哎呀，随便啊，帅哥给他啦，一次过。
帅哥我才给
哇，太，那如果我是35啊 ，OK， 我的价钱多少？28。
How in the world did they get from 28 to 30?
Because you only buy 5.
28 means we will buy 5 of each color, but we only buy 5 for one color.
Never mind lah, 30 lah. 30 is okay.
Take 5. Hey, but the label. Do you tell her? But behind you have or not? Behind you have or not? 现在我给你